I still remember that morning. Gray clouds hung low, like even the sky didn't want to see what was coming. The kettle whistled softly on the stove while I folded the laundry, my son's shirts, his wife's dresses, my granddaughter's tiny socks. Every corner of that house held my memories, my sacrifices, my love. But that day it all changed. When Daniel walked into the kitchen, his eyes didn't hold warmth anymore. They held something else, distance. Cold, sharp, and rehearsed. "Mom," he said, voice too formal for a son. "We need to talk." I smiled gently. "Of course, sweetheart. What's wrong?" Rachel, his wife, was behind him, arms crossed. Her lips were pressed tight, like she'd been waiting for this moment. "It's not about what's wrong, Mom," Rachel began. "It's about what's right. You've been living here for years, and it's time for you to, have your own space." "My own space," I repeated softly. Daniel cleared his throat. "We found a place for you. An old house. It's quiet, peaceful, and affordable. We think you'll love it." I stared at him, trying to read his face. "You're asking me to leave?" Rachel interrupted. "We're not asking, Catherine. We're helping you start a new chapter." I looked at my son. The boy I had raised through sleepless nights, who once cried in my arms after his first heartbreak. That boy was gone. I whispered. "And if I don't want to go?" Rachel sighed dramatically. "Mom, don't make this harder than it needs to be. We've already packed most of your things." My heart cracked right there, but I refused to show it. So I smiled, a hollow kind of smile, and said, "All right then. Let's go see my new chapter." They drove me in silence. The radio played softly, an old song from the 70s I used to hum while cooking. Funny how even music can hurt when love fades. After an hour, they stopped in front of a small, run-down house at the edge of a forgotten town. The paint was peeling, the porch sagged, and weeds grew tall around the mailbox. "This is it," Rachel chirped, pretending to sound cheerful. It looked less like a home and more like a memory someone tried to bury. I stepped out slowly. The wind bit through my coat. "It's old," I murmured. Rachel shrugged. "You'll get used to it." Daniel avoided my eyes. "I'll send you money every month, Mom. Just until you settle." I wanted to scream. Settle into what? Loneliness? Abandonment? But instead I nodded. "Thank you." They unloaded my bags, gave me a quick hug, one that didn't reach the heart, and left. The sound of their car engine fading was the loneliest sound I'd ever heard. The first few nights were the hardest. The walls groaned when the wind howled. The roof leaked when it rained. I'd sit by the window, a single lamp glowing beside me, watching the shadows stretch across the empty floor. I cooked small meals for one, soup mostly, because I couldn't bring myself to eat much. Days passed. No calls. No visits. Sometimes I'd dial Daniel's number, but I'd hang up before it rang. What would I even say? "I miss you? I forgive you? Please remember I exist?" One night, I woke up to the sound of thunder and realized the window had cracked open. Rain was pouring in, soaking the floor. As I grabbed an old towel, my hand brushed against a drawer handle, and it stuck out slightly. Inside was an envelope, yellowed and dusty. When I opened it, my heart stopped. It was the original house deed, my late husband's signature on the last page. The house Daniel and Rachel were living in still belonged to me. I never transferred it. I remembered now. The lawyer had sent the papers years ago, but I never finalized them. I sat there, heart pounding. They had thrown me out of my own home. The next morning, I called an old friend, Margaret. She used to be my neighbor, a retired lawyer with a sharp tongue and a sharper mind. When I told her everything, she gasped. "That boy has lost his way, Catherine. But don't you worry, we'll fix this." With her help, we started working quietly. She pulled property records, verified ownership, filed some documents, and within weeks, the house was legally and fully mine again. All this time, Daniel and Rachel had been living there, unaware that every mortgage payment, every bill, every decision, was under my control. I could have evicted them immediately, but I didn't. No. I wanted something more powerful than revenge. I wanted them to understand what love costs when you stop valuing it. A few months later, I went back to that house. The garden I once tended had died, just like our bond. The door opened, and Rachel's expression froze. Catherine? What are you doing here? I came home, I said simply. Daniel appeared behind her, confused. Mom, you can't just. Oh, but I can, I interrupted gently. You see, this house still belongs to me. They both froze. That's impossible, Rachel stammered. We signed everything. I handed her the file. You signed, dear. I didn't. The silence that followed was delicious. I watched the color drain from her face. Daniel rubbed his forehead. Mom, this isn't fair. I looked him straight in the eyes. Fair? You threw me out of my own home, Daniel. You made me feel like a burden. Tell me, what part of that was fair? He had no answer. By evening, they were gone. Their car packed, their pride heavier than their luggage. That night, I stood in the living room looking around. Every photo, every piece of furniture. It all felt like it had been waiting for me to come back. I sat by the fireplace, lit a small flame, and whispered to my husband's old picture. We did it, love. Our home is ours again. But I didn't stop there. I had the old house, the one they left me in, repaired. Fresh paint, new lights, and new life. Then I donated it to a women's shelter, for abandoned mothers, widows, and women with nowhere to go. Because no mother should ever be treated the way I was. Months passed. Then one afternoon, I heard a knock. It was Daniel. He looked thinner, tired, with eyes that had lost their arrogance. Mom, he said softly. I'm sorry. I didn't answer. He continued. Rachel left. We couldn't afford the rent. I lost my job. I don't know what to do. His voice broke mid-sentence, and for a moment, I saw the boy I had raised, the one who used to bring me wildflowers and say, These are for you, Mommy. I sighed. You can come in, Daniel. Sit down. He did. Quietly, like a child who knew he'd gone too far. I made him tea, just like old times. The silence between us wasn't comfortable, but it was honest. After a while he whispered, Why didn't you just hate me, Mom? Why didn't you throw me out like I did to you? I looked at him and said softly, Because I didn't raise you to be like that. I raised you to learn, even if the lesson came late. He started coming around more often after that, helping me fix the porch, mow the lawn, paint the walls. He never asked for money, never took advantage again. He just stayed, present. One Sunday, while he was planting flowers in the yard, my little granddaughter ran up to me, holding a daisy. Grandma, Daddy says this is your favorite. I smiled. Yes, it is. She grinned and ran back to him, her laughter echoing through the garden. For the first time in years, peace filled my heart. Not because I got revenge, but because I got myself back. I had drawn my line, and this time, no one would cross it. One evening, Daniel looked at me and said, Mom, I know I can't undo what I did, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. I smiled softly. You don't need to make it right, son. Just don't forget who stood by you when no one else would. He nodded, tears in his eyes. As the sun set, I looked around. The same house, the same walls, but a new feeling. Freedom. Strength. Self-worth. They once called me a burden. Now they knew. I was the foundation. And I'll never let anyone forget that again.